Most people believe wealth begins with luck. A lucky connection. A lucky investment. A lucky idea, discovered at exactly the right moment. But luck is unreliable. It may open one door. It cannot build a lasting system. Real wealth begins when you understand how value is created, how ownership multiplies effort, and how disciplined execution transforms uncertainty into results. In this video, we combine two powerful entrepreneurial perspectives. Naval Ravikant explains the architecture of wealth. John Mullins explains how entrepreneurs act when resources are limited, markets are uncertain, and conventional rules are no longer enough. Together, their ideas reveal a complete entrepreneurial system. Not a shortcut. Not a fantasy. A practical journey from problem to value. From value to cash flow. From cash flow to ownership. And from ownership to lasting wealth. Stay until the end, because we will transform these principles into 7 practical rules you can begin applying today. Money is not wealth. Before we continue, one distinction is essential. Money and wealth are not the same thing. Money is a tool. It pays bills. It buys time. It creates options. Wealth is different. Wealth is an asset, a system, or an ownership position that continues producing value beyond 1 hour of personal labor. A salary can be high, but when the income disappears the moment you stop working, that income remains fragile. A business may generate impressive revenue, but when every decision depends on the founder may have created an exhausting job instead of genuine wealth. This is why Naval emphasizes ownership and leverage. And this is why John Mullins focuses on real customer problems, intelligent cash flow, and resourceful execution. The entrepreneur's goal is not simply to work harder. It is to build something useful, repeatable, defensible, and capable of growing without consuming every minute of the founder's life. Rule 1. Begin with a painful problem. The first rule is simple, but many entrepreneurs ignore it. Do not begin with your product. Begin with a painful problem. Many founders fall in love with what they want to create. They spend months designing features, building websites, ordering inventory, and preparing presentations. Then they finally speak to customers, and they discover that the market is not interested. A clever idea is not automatically a valuable business. Value appears when a specific customer has a real problem, experiences the consequences of that problem, and is prepared to pay for a better solution. Ask 4 questions. Who has this problem? How frequently does it occur? What does it currently cost them? Why are existing solutions inadequate? The more urgent, expensive, or frustrating the problem is, the stronger the potential opportunity becomes. Entrepreneurship does not begin with imagination alone. It begins with disciplined observation. Find friction. Find waste. Find risk. Find frustration. Then build around what people already need solved. Sell the result, not the feature. This principle changes the way you evaluate an idea. Instead of asking, "Is my idea innovative?" ask, "Does my solution produce a result someone genuinely values?" A hospital may not care that your product is technically elegant. It cares whether your product improves safety, reduces contamination, saves time, or lowers operating costs. A company may not care that your software uses advanced technology. It cares whether the software helps employees work faster, make fewer mistakes, or serve customers more effectively. The entrepreneur translates features into outcomes. That translation is the bridge between invention and demand. Write your value proposition in one clear sentence. We help a specific customer solve a specific problem and achieve a measurable result. When that sentence is vague, the business is probably vague. When the outcome cannot be understood, trusted, or measured, customers will hesitate. Real value must be useful. It must be visible. And it must be credible. Wealth begins when value becomes clear enough for the market to recognize and reward it. Rule 2. Start narrow. The second rule is to begin with a narrow market. Ambitious founders often say, "Our product is for everyone." That may sound impressive. Strategically, it is usually weak. When everyone is the customer, nobody feels directly addressed. A narrow market allows you to understand the customer's language, habits, objections, budget, regulations, and purchasing behavior. It also allows you to improve faster. Feedback comes from similar users with similar needs. Begin with the customers who experience the problem most intensely. Win their confidence. Build evidence. Create measurable results. Develop strong references. Then expand. Many great companies began with one specific customer group before reaching a global market. Starting small does not mean thinking small about the future. It means concentrating your limited resources. The goal is not to serve the entire world on the first day. The goal is to become exceptionally useful to one group. Then use that credibility as the foundation for wider growth. Rule 3. Develop specific knowledge. The third rule is to develop specific knowledge. Specific knowledge is not simply information you can find in a textbook. It is a rare combination of skills, experience, curiosity, judgment, and insight that makes you unusually effective in a particular field. It may come from combining technical expertise with communication. It may come from understanding a market that other people ignore. It may come from years of solving a difficult category of problems. Specific knowledge is powerful because it is difficult to copy. But it does not become valuable automatically. It must be connected to demand. Ask yourself, what can I do that is difficult to replace, useful to a defined customer, and strengthened through continuous learning? Then create proof. Publish. Prototype. Test. Teach. Sell. Improve. A certificate may demonstrate that you studied something. A result demonstrates that you can create value. Your future income is connected to the usefulness, rarity, and credibility of the abilities you continue developing. Knowledge must become an asset. Learning alone does not create wealth. Applied knowledge does. Many people collect courses, books, certificates, and advice. They become experts in preparation, but they remain beginners in execution. Knowledge becomes economically powerful when it helps someone produce a result. A graphic designer can transform visual knowledge into client services, then into templates, then into courses, then into a licensed design system. The same knowledge can produce different levels of leverage. The first level sells time. The second level creates a reusable product. The third level creates an asset that can serve many people. This is the transition every entrepreneur must understand. Do not only ask, what should I learn? Ask, how can this knowledge become a solution, a process, a product, or a system? The most valuable skill is not memorizing information. It is converting information into useful outcomes. Knowledge becomes wealth only when it can be applied, demonstrated, packaged, distributed, and repeatedly used to create value. Rule 4. Cash flow before complexity. The fourth rule is to create cash flow before creating complexity. Many entrepreneurs want to look successful before the business becomes economically healthy. They rent impressive offices. They employ people too early. They purchase expensive equipment. They build sophisticated brands without proving that customers will buy. But appearances do not keep a company alive. Cash flow does. Revenue is not the same as profit. Profit is not the same as available cash. A company can appear successful while quietly running out of money. Strong entrepreneurs ask how quickly customers can begin paying, how costs can remain flexible, and how growth can be financed responsibly. They negotiate deposits. They test pre-orders. They reduce unnecessary inventory. They avoid large fixed costs before demand is proven. They understand payment terms. They monitor liquidity, not only sales. The first financial objective is not to become large. It is to become sustainable. A small company with healthy cash flow has options. A large company with weak cash flow has pressure and dependency. Customers can finance growth. One of John Mullen's strongest ideas is that customers can help finance the growth of a business. This challenges the assumption that every entrepreneur must first raise large amounts of external capital. Some businesses receive payment before delivering the final product. Others use subscriptions, deposits, advance orders, memberships, or long-term customer contracts. This does not work for every industry. But the underlying question is powerful. Can demand finance part of the development? When a real customer pays, the entrepreneur receives more than money. The payment is evidence. It proves that the problem matters. It proves that the offer is understandable. And it proves that the customer believes the promised result is valuable. External investment can accelerate a business. But money introduced before the business model is clear can also accelerate confusion. The best capital is not always the largest investment. Sometimes, it is the first payment from a customer who genuinely needs the solution. That payment transforms an idea into a market signal. Use resources you do not own. Traditional thinking says that growth requires ownership of machines, buildings, employees, and infrastructure. Entrepreneurial thinking asks a different question. What can we access without purchasing or building everything ourselves? Resources can be obtained through partnerships, licensing, outsourcing, leasing, shared laboratories, contract manufacturing, freelancers, distributors, and digital platforms. This is not weakness. It is intelligent resource design. You should own what creates strategic advantage. But you do not need to own everything required for operation. A product company can use a contract manufacturer instead of immediately building a factory. A young business can work with specialists without creating an oversized payroll. A brand can cooperate with an existing distributor instead of building every sales channel from zero. This reduces capital requirements. It also increases flexibility. The deeper principle is control without unnecessary possession. Wealth grows faster when scarce capital is concentrated on what makes the business unique, while non-critical activities are accessed through reliable partners. Own what creates your advantage. However, outsourcing everything can also become dangerous. An entrepreneur must understand what should remain under strategic control. Your core technology may need protection. Your customer relationships may be essential. Your brand, data, intellectual property, design, or specialized process may be the foundation of your competitive advantage. The correct question is not, should we own everything? The correct question is, what must we control to protect the long-term value of the business? Own what makes you difficult to replace. Access what does not need to be owned. A company may outsource production while protecting its patents, product architecture, quality standards, and customer information. Another company may use external technology while owning the brand and distribution network. There is no universal answer. The entrepreneur must identify the true source of advantage. Resources that do not create differentiation can often remain flexible. Resources that determine trust, knowledge, control, or future earnings require deeper protection. Strategic ownership is not about possessing more. It is about protecting what matters most. Rule 5. Build ownership. If you only exchange time for money, your income remains limited by the number of hours you can work. Ownership changes the equation. Ownership may mean equity in a company. It may mean intellectual property, a product, a brand, a software platform, a media library, a distribution channel, or a valuable data set. The essential principle is that you retain a claim on future value. An employee may earn a strong salary. An owner participates in growth. A consultant may sell expertise. But when the consultant transforms that expertise into a repeatable method, a digital product, a tool, or a licensed system, an asset begins to emerge. Ownership carries risk. It requires responsibility. And it frequently requires patience. But without ownership, it is difficult to create wealth that grows beyond personal labor. Ask yourself, when the work is completed, what remains mine? When the answer is nothing, you may be generating income without building an asset. Income supports your life. Ownership creates the possibility of compounding. Rule 6. Use leverage responsibly. Leverage allows one decision, one product, or 1 hour of work to produce results on a much larger scale. Capital is leverage because it finances expansion. People are leveraged because coordinated teams can achieve more than one individual. Technology is leverage because software can serve thousands of customers. Media is leverage because one message can reach millions of people. But leverage amplifies both strength and weakness. A bad system scaled rapidly creates larger problems. A valuable system scaled responsibly creates extraordinary impact. This is why leverage should follow proof. First, solve the problem. Then prove demand. Build a reliable process. Only then should you scale. Many entrepreneurs confuse attention with leverage. Views, followers, publicity, and recognition may be useful, but only when they are connected to trust, value, and a sustainable economic model. True leverage does not simply make you visible. It multiplies useful output while preventing costs from increasing at exactly the same rate. Rule 7. Accept accountability. Naval Ravikant emphasizes accountability. People who visibly accept responsibility gain trust, credibility, and access to greater opportunities. Accountability means attaching your name to decisions and accepting their consequences. It means refusing to hide behind employees, partners, competitors, or market conditions whenever something goes wrong. This does not require reckless confidence. It requires honest ownership of your role. Entrepreneurs who learn quickly are not people who never fail. They are people who can study failure without protecting their ego. They ask, which assumption was wrong? Which signal did we ignore? What must change? Accountability also strengthens leadership. Teams trust leaders who communicate honestly, admit mistakes, and make decisions. Customers trust companies that solve problems instead of avoiding responsibility. Investors trust founders who understand their numbers, weaknesses, and risks. Responsibility can feel heavy, but it is also a form of power. The moment you accept responsibility for your contribution to a result, you recover the ability to improve it. Question conventions, not ethics. Entrepreneurs must learn to question conventions without ignoring ethics, law, safety, or responsibility. Many industries operate according to habits that were created decades ago. People continue repeating them because this is how things have always been done. Entrepreneurs ask better questions. Is this step legally required? Or is it merely traditional? Does the customer still need this process? Can technology remove unnecessary delay? Can the product be delivered differently? Can the business model be reorganized? Innovation often begins when someone distinguishes a real constraint from an inherited assumption. But breaking rules must be intelligent. Ignoring regulations, contracts, safety, or customer trust can destroy a company. The goal is not rebellion for its own sake. The goal is to eliminate outdated friction while protecting what truly matters. Strong entrepreneurs challenge conventions and respect consequences. They understand that creativity without discipline becomes chaos. But discipline without creativity becomes stagnation. The entrepreneur needs both. The complete wealth building sequence. Now we can connect the two entrepreneurial perspectives. John Mullins explains how entrepreneurs move from uncertainty toward a functioning business. Naval Ravikant explains how a functioning business can become a wealth-building engine. The complete sequence is problem, value, cash flow, ownership, leverage, system, wealth. First, identify a painful problem. Second, create a solution that produces a meaningful result. Third, prove that customers will pay. Fourth, protect cash flow and retain ownership in what you create. Fifth, use leverage to increase reach and output. Sixth, transform repeated actions into reliable systems. Seventh, allow those systems and assets to compound over time. Skip the first steps, and scaling becomes dangerous. Skip ownership, and you may build value without participating fully in the upside. Skip systems, and the business remains dependent on your permanent presence. Wealth is not one dramatic event. It is the outcome of a sequence in which every stage strengthens the next. From labor to asset. Imagine a professional who helps manufacturing companies reduce operational waste. At first, this person sells consulting hours. That creates income. But the work remains limited by time. The consultant then identifies a recurring problem, such as inefficient changeovers or poor production planning. A repeatable diagnostic method is developed. It is tested with several companies. The measurable improvements are documented. Now the value becomes clearer. The consultant can charge for results, not only hours. Next, the method becomes a digital toolkit, a training program, or a licensed process. Ownership appears. The toolkit can be delivered by trained partners. Leverage appears. Data from multiple projects improves the method. A system appears. Eventually, the entrepreneur can earn from consulting, licenses, training, software, and partnerships without personally performing every task. This is the journey from labor to asset, from asset to system, and from system to scalable wealth. Entrepreneurship is disciplined realism. There is an important warning. Wealth-building messages can become misleading when they ignore reality. Not everyone begins with the same capital, education, health, network, or freedom. Some people face unstable markets, discrimination, debt, family responsibilities, or political uncertainty. Mindset alone cannot erase structural barriers. But barriers do not make strategy useless. They make strategy more necessary. The practical objective is not to pretend everyone has the same path. It is to increase control over the next available decision. Develop one useful skill. Reduce one unnecessary cost. Test one small offer. Create one valuable relationship. Protect 1 hour of focused work. Improve one process. Small actions may not eliminate every external difficulty, but they create evidence, capability, and momentum. Real entrepreneurial thinking is not blind optimism. It is disciplined realism. It sees constraints clearly. Then it asks, what can still be built with the resources available today? That question is more powerful than waiting indefinitely for perfect conditions. Long-term thinking is another foundation of wealth. Short-term thinking asks, how can I earn money quickly? Long-term thinking asks, what can I build that becomes more valuable through trust, learning, and repetition? Reputation compounds. Skills compound. Relationships compound. Capital compounds. A founder who keeps promises for 10 years gains access that cannot be purchased overnight. A company that consistently solves customer problems becomes easier to recommend. A product that improves through feedback becomes harder to replace. The long game requires patience. But patience does not mean passivity. It means making decisions that remain intelligent when repeated. Do not win one transaction by destroying a relationship. Do not create temporary growth by damaging the product. Do not accept money from partners whose incentives conflict with your mission. Wealth grows where value and trust can compound together. The best opportunities often appear after years of becoming credible, capable, reliable, and increasingly difficult for the market to ignore. Build a business that can operate without you. A strong business must eventually become a system. A system is a reliable way of producing a result without reinventing everything every time. It includes clear processes, responsibilities, standards, tools, information flows, and feedback. Many founders resist systems because they associate them with bureaucracy. But without systems, growth creates confusion. Customers receive inconsistent quality. Employees depend on the founder for every answer. Mistakes repeat, and the founder becomes exhausted. The purpose of a system is not to eliminate human judgment. It is to protect attention for decisions that genuinely require judgment. Document recurring work. Define quality standards. Automate simple activities. Train people around results, not only tasks. Create indicators that reveal what is changing. Build feedback loops that support continuous improvement. A business becomes more valuable when it delivers predictable results without depending on one heroic individual. Freedom is not created by avoiding structure. It is created by designing the right structure. The 7-question entrepreneurial challenge. Now answer 7 questions. First, what urgent problem are you solving? Second, who is the first narrow customer group that experiences this problem most intensely? Third, what measurable result does your solution produce? Fourth, how can you test demand before making a large investment? Fifth, which resources can you access without purchasing or building them yourself? Sixth, which part of your business can become an owned asset or repeatable system? Seventh, what will continue producing value after your direct work has finished? Write the answers. Do not keep them abstract. Use names, numbers, deadlines, evidence. A business becomes clearer when assumptions become visible. Then choose one action for the next 24 hours. Call a customer. Test a price. Build a prototype. Request a deposit. Contact a partner. Document a process. Wealth does not begin when everything is perfect. It begins when knowledge becomes action, action produces evidence, and evidence improves the next decision. Conclusion. Can wealth be built without depending on luck? Luck will always influence timing, encounters, opportunities, and unexpected events. But you can reduce your dependence on it. You can choose valuable problems. Develop rare skills. Prove demand before spending heavily. Protect cash flow. Retain ownership. Use leverage responsibly. Build systems. And play long-term games with trustworthy people. None of this guarantees an easy journey, but it increases the probability that effort becomes value. That value becomes an asset. and that asset becomes lasting wealth. Do not leave this video with motivation alone. Choose one rule. Apply it today. Because ideas do not create wealth by themselves. Decisions do. Ownership does. Systems do. Consistent value creation does. This is the entrepreneur's mindset. Build what matters. Own what you create. Scale what works. Protect your reputation. And remain in the game long enough for knowledge, trust, ownership, and capital to compound. Your wealth-building journey does not begin with luck. It begins with your next intelligent action.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up.